We all know this feeling. It starts with a small problem, and suddenly you find yourself drowning in an endless spiral of dark thoughts. A simple idea like, "Did I say something wrong?" turns into a catastrophic scenario where you end up broke, alone, and maybe even chasing stray cats for food. How did we get here? And why does the mind insist on turning ordinary matters into first-class drama? The reason is simple, yet deceptive. Your brain wasn't designed for modern life. It's an ancient artifact from the cave-dwelling days when life was simple but dangerous. Back then, any strange movement in the bushes could mean a predator was lurking nearby, and any small mistake could be your last. That's why the brain became highly sensitive to potential threats, always preparing for the worst-case scenario to ensure survival. The problem is that tigers no longer chase us, but the brain still treats every problem as a life-or-death situation. When you face a stressful situation, your brain acts like a seasoned lawyer, expertly exaggerating things. If a friend doesn't reply to your message, the worst-case scenario kicks in. Maybe they don't like me anymore. Maybe I did something to upset them. Maybe they'll never talk to me again. And if you have an important work meeting, anxiety turns into a horror movie. What if I forget what to say? What if I make a mistake? What if they fire me? As if your entire future depends on one single moment. Overthinking isn't just a bad habit. It's part of how the brain works. There's something called negative bias, which means the brain focuses more on negatives than positives. You could hear 100 compliments, but one negative comment will stick in your mind all night. This isn't random. It's how the brain ensures you remember dangers and avoid them in the future. But in today's world, where real dangers are rare, this bias turns into a mental burden, making you see problems as bigger than they really are. All of this happens because of a small part of your brain called the amygdala, which is responsible for fear and anxiety. When your brain exaggerates problems, the amygdala sends warning signals, triggering the release of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Suddenly, you feel like a real threat is surrounding you, even though all you're doing is overthinking a conversation that didn't go as planned. Fortunately, you can trick your brain the same way it tricks you. The moment you find yourself trapped in a catastrophic scenario, stop and ask yourself, is this really logical? Is there actual evidence that this will happen? Most of the time, you'll realize you're overreacting. Another helpful technique is mindful thinking, which means focusing on the present moment instead of letting your brain wander into dark alleys. Simply taking a deep breath and paying attention to your surroundings can bring you back to reality and pull you out of the anxiety spiral. If you feel that overthinking is taking over your life, try writing down your worries. When you see the problem on paper, you'll realize it's not as terrifying as it seemed in your head. Keeping yourself busy with other activities, whether it's exercising, reading, or watching a comedy movie, can also help. In the end, nothing is worth losing your peace of mind over. The brain is an incredible machine, but it's not infallible. Often it tries to protect you in an exaggerated way, making you live in unnecessary anxiety. But once you understand how it works, you can control it instead of letting it control you. So, next time you find yourself drowning in dark scenarios, remember, this is just a movie produced by your mind, and you can always choose to change the channel.